My name is Arthur. I'm 80 years old today, and I've spent the last hour staring at a blue velvet box hidden in the back of my sock drawer. Inside it is a ring I never gave her, and a letter dated 40 years ago that I never had the courage to mail. I realized this morning, as the sun hit the dust motes in this quiet house, that I've spent my entire existence preparing for a life that I was actually living while I was looking the other way. I thought I was building a future, but I was really just building a wall between myself and the only person who ever truly saw me. The stakes back then felt like everything: my career, my reputation, the right time to be happy. Now, looking at my trembling hands, I realized the only thing I had to lose was the time itself, and I lost it perfectly. There's a secret I've kept about that night in 1986, a moment where a single yes would have changed the history of 3 different lives. And I chose silence because I was afraid of a risk that no longer matters. If you've ever felt like you're just waiting for your real life to begin, maybe stay here with me for a moment, and perhaps subscribe to these memories so they don't disappear when I do. I remember the smell of rain on hot pavement more than I remember any of the promotions I stayed late for. It was June. Elena was standing by the door of our first apartment, the one with the radiator that hissed like a cat. She had her suitcase packed, not because she wanted to leave, but because she was tired of being the only one staying. She looked at me with those eyes that held a universe I hadn't bothered to map out yet, and asked if I was ready. I told her I needed another year. I needed the senior partner position. I needed the savings account to hit a specific number. I told her we were preparing. I can still see the way her shoulders dropped. It wasn't a sharp break, it was the sound of a silk thread snapping. I thought I was being responsible. I thought I was being a man. I sat at that kitchen table for hours after she left, looking at the budget I'd drawn up on a yellow legal pad. I was so proud of those numbers. If you've ever traded a person for a plan, you might know the hollow feeling I'm talking about. If this story is touching something in you, I'd appreciate it if you liked this video, just so I know I'm not speaking into an empty room. The years that followed were efficient. That's the best word for them. I achieved everything I put on those yellow pads. I got the house with the wraparound porch. I got the car that made the neighbors turn their heads. I even got married later to a woman named Claire who was kind and steady, but we lived like 2 parallel lines, always close, never touching. We shared a life, but we didn't share a soul. I spent my 50s waiting for retirement so I could finally start enjoying Claire's company, but by the time the gold watch was on my wrist, we had forgotten how to speak to each other without mentioning the weather or the bills. Myself walking through the park last week, watching a young couple argue over a dropped ice cream cone. They were so devastated by such a small thing. I wanted to tell them that the ice cream doesn't matter, but the fact that they were holding hands while they argued was the most expensive thing they'd ever own. I kept walking. My legs don't move like they used to. Every step is a reminder that the later I was saving everything for has finally arrived, and it's much quieter than I expected. I often wonder where Elena is. I wonder if she kept the teapot we bought at that garage sale for $3. It's funny the things that stick. I don't remember the brand of my first luxury car, but I remember the way she used to hum when she was brushing her hair. I've spent 80 years learning that the big moments are just the scaffolding, and the humming, the small, ignored background noise, was the actual building. If you're finding a bit of yourself in my regrets, please consider sharing this. Not for me, but for someone else who might be sitting at a kitchen table with a yellow legal pad right now, making the wrong choice. The silence in this house is a heavy thing. It's not the absence of noise, it's the presence of all the words I didn't say. I remember a Tuesday in my late 40s. It wasn't a special day. Claire had made tea and the light was hitting the rug in a way that made everything look golden. She looked at me, really looked at me, and asked, "Arthur, are you happy?" I gave the responsible answer. I talked about the mortgage being almost paid off. I talked about the lawn. I talked about our health insurance. I gave her a report instead of a heart. I saw her eyes dim, just a little, and she went back to her book. We lived in that house for 30 more years, and I don't think she ever asked me that question again. We were so busy maintaining the gallery that we forgot to look at the art. I spent my life waiting for the weekend, then waiting for the vacation, then waiting for the kids to grow up, then waiting for the grandkids. I was always leaning forward, trying to catch the next thing, never realizing that life is what happens when you're standing still. I think about the romantic dinners I cancelled because I was too tired. I think about the walks I skipped because I wanted to watch the news. The news is all the same now, but those walks are gone forever. I'm looking at a photo of myself at 30. I look so certain. I look like a man who has all the time in the world. I want to reach into the gloss of that paper and shake him. I want to tell him that the perfect time is a ghost. It doesn't exist. You just grab the messy, imperfect, terrifying present and you hold on to it until your knuckles turn white. There's a comfort in finally admitting I was wrong. It's a cold comfort, like a thin blanket in winter, but it's honest. I'm 80 and I'm finally stopped waiting. The life I was waiting for passed by decades ago while I was checking my watch. It passed in the steam of a tea kettle, in the sound of Elena's suitcase wheels on the hardwood, in the look Claire gave me over her glasses. I hope you don't wait until your hands shake to realize that the small things were actually the giants. I hope you say the thing you're afraid to say today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a room that might never be opened. Thank you for sitting here with me. It's been a long journey to get to this chair, and having someone to tell this to makes the house feel a little less empty. If you'd like to stay for more stories, you're always welcome to subscribe. But more importantly, I'd love to hear about a moment you're glad you didn't wait for, or maybe one you're still waiting on. Just leave a comment below. It helps me feel like I'm still part of the conversation. I think I'll go make some tea now, and this time I'm just going to sit and watch the steam rise without checking the time even once.